For the next step, what we're going to do is dimensioning. All right, this is important. Now we've got most of our dimensions already laid out, so all we need to do is transfer the things that we've already done into leader lines, extension lines, and actual dimensions. So let's start with this. The thing to remember, we talked about orthographic projection, that we only need to worry about usually two views at any time. And so some of these dimensions are redundant. We don't have to do them multiple times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the top one. I'm going to lay down some paper just so I don't smudge my nice drawing. And I'm going to worry only about the dimensions coming off the top, right? So the way I like to do this is I'm not going to worry about the outside of the wall. I'm going to measure to the inside of the wall. I'm going to take my ruler and line up to that first corner we made. On the outside, way up here above our drawing, I'm going to start a little line up. It is parallel with the wall. It isn't free. We do not freehand, all right? We use a ruler. So you line that up with the wall, and outside of the main drawing, we're going to do what's called the extension line. It extends the wall, right? It's a light line because it's a graphic line. It does not exist in space. We go down to the other side, again, inside wall. The actual measurement we took, I'm going to line it with the wall and come outside my drawing, and I'm going to come up and do again another extension line. So I have these two lines here. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is about a ½ inch off of the wall, off the outside, is where I'm going to actually put my drawing, my measurement. So I'm going to measure from the wall up 1/2 of an inch. From here, from the wall up 1/2 of an inch, and I'm going to put a light line in, connecting the dot, but I like to leave a space in the middle, so I'm going to go from here out to that line. I even go a little beyond, it's okay. Go beyond a little bit. Now, in that little space I left, I'm going to now put my measurement. So I'm going to use that 1/8 inch that we talked about. That goes in there. So I'm going to take my little cheap template here to draw my lines. And I know that from looking at our measurement that long wall was 12 foot 8.5 inches. So I'm going to write in there 12 feet dash 8.1/2 inches. The last step is on either corner, I make a little arrow and a little arrow, and that tells me from this corner to that corner is 12 feet 8.1/2 inches. Alright? I'm not going to worry about the furniture. The furniture is the furniture. I'm only going to worry about the shape of the room. Alright? So now I'm going to move on to the next wall. This wall here has a little more. It's got a door in it. So I'm going to come with my ruler. I'm going to line it up with the wall here. The inside of the wall, not the outside. And I'm going to come outside the drawing, out here, just beyond the drawing, and draw a little leader line about 1.5 foot, 2 foot long. I'm going to come down here, again the inside of the wall, not the outside, come to that corner, come outside the drawing, draw about the same length of line. Now here's the tricky one. I'm going to come back up here to where, remember that line we drew for the opening of the door? I'm going to do the same thing there. I'm going to actually draw a little line parallel to that outside my drawing. And again, outside the drawing here. You're thinking, what are all these? Alright? So now I'm going to come up here about 1/2 of an inch off the drawing and make a little mark. And 1/2 inch off the drawing and make a mark, and I'm going to draw if you look, I end up with that little mark, a larger mark, space here, a small space, a larger space, and a much larger space. I need to go make a line that goes this direction, leaves a space for the dimension, go all the way up to the middle of this space, leave a space for a dimension, and go all the way out. You're like, oh, okay, why did I do that one? So this first one, remember we said that we need to align this so that we can turn the page either direction? I'm going to set this up with my marks for my measurements going this direction now. The only oddball, I'm going to make another one that's just kind of down here, just randomly down here. Still in line, but what I'm going to do is, when I look at my dimensions here, I know that the first one, the one that's oddball, is 4 1/4 inches. The second one, which was the door opening, is 3 feet 0 inches. And the remainder of the wall is 5 foot 9 inches. The reason we did the little oddball is this is such a small area that right here that I have to put a leader. I'm going to make a little dot in the middle of that and just kind of draw it out to that 4 1/4. So now I've dimensioned this whole thing. Now here's the next step. I'm going to, from that line, from the initial line that I made, I'm going to come out another 1/2 inch. So I may have to come back to my extension line and actually make it a little bit longer. Fine, right? And I make this one a little bit longer. And now I'm going to, again, 1/2 inch from this one. And I'm going to now connect the dots. Why am I doing this? The reason I'm doing this is because now I have an overall measurement. So, where I have all these little segments, we start with the segments, but then I'm going to give an overall measurement here to say that what that whole thing is 12 feet 8 1/2 inches. So now I make my little marks here, and I'll write in there 12 feet 8 1/2 inches. The last thing we do is we come in and we put our little arrows. Okay? And erase any lines that might be a little confusing. Alright, so I'm going to get rid of that little bit of a line there. Everything else looks pretty good. Alright, so that gives me all the little individual measurements and the overall measurement all within the same side. What's great about that, I don't need to measure this side because I've already set it over here. And the only thing I need to measure here is the distance from these. I've already got the long measurement over here, so I don't need to be redundant. I don't need to do it twice. Alright, so be cautious of that. So in this case, I'm going to come down about 1/2 inch. I might have to cheat that one because it's again getting into my title block, so I'm going to do a little bit less than 1/2 inch. Sometimes you have to make adjustments. I'm going to do it like at 9 inches. So I've got this lined up here. I'm going to make my extension line. Got this lined up here all the way. Make my extension line. Now this one has the window in the middle of it, so we have an extension line here. We have on the other side of the window, so we have an extension line here. And we made our little 1/2 inch marks down. I went 9, so this is when we go long. We made a little space there. We leave a little space there, little space there. And that's so that we can then come in with our measurements, lay those in. We go to our sheet that we did. We know where that window was. We know the first one was 3 feet 4 inches. Okay. I put my little arrows here already. Now the second one was originally 9 foot 1/2, so I know all I have to do is to take 9 foot 1/2 minus 3 foot 4. I do a little bit of math there. Let's do that real quick. So 9 foot 1/2 minus 3 foot 4. We take 12 and make that an 8. 12 minus 4, so we got 8 1/2 inches. 8 minus 3 is 5. So we know this is 5 feet 8 1/2 inches. Alright. And then we take the whole thing, we take 12 feet, 8 1/2 inches, and we minus the 9 1/2 that I had earlier. 9 1/2. We're left with 8 and 3. So this one is 3 feet 8 inches. So when I look at this now, I have a nice set of dimensions that tells me how this room is laid out. No one's ever going to build these furniture, so I'm not really worried about the measurements for those. I don't expect you to have those measurements either. The last step we do when we're doing a drawing, and we wait to the last so that we don't have smudges everywhere, is we start shading in. And you have two ways you can do this. You can either do a shade and shade in very neatly the thickness of the wall. This is one way to do it. The traditional way to do it is to take a triangle and at about, I don't have a 45-degree triangle, but basically you start by creating cross-hatching at that angle. Alright, this is a little tedious to do. So when you do the cross-hatching all the way around, you end up with something that shows this has thickness. This has some sort of a material that goes through the entirety of it. Right? What I find is I don't really care about that so much, so sometimes I will just shade this in, make it a solid. You know, I'll take the time to make it nice. I don't do a crappy job. I'm going to take the time to make this look nice. Alright? And now you can see how that really starts making it feel like that wall has mass to it. Right? Often I have to put my paper down so that I don't smudge that drawing. Okay. Try to stay in the lines. Now, in the past, what we would do, this would be done on a material called vellum, which is a very porous paper. It's a very nice paper. It draws very nicely. But vellum allows for vapors to come through it whenever you run the vellum and a sheet of blueprint paper through a blueprinting machine. And in that case, any place that there is a mark made by, a pen or a pencil, the vapors can't get through it. It goes through all the white area and it turns that to blue, and any place that there is pencil, it turns it to white. Right? So in this case, every place that we did this cross-hatching or this blocked out, we would have our walls and it would be, all white. It would be a white mark or a blue mark depending on what type of machine they're having. But a lot of times what I would do on my vellum is I would actually outline it in Sharpie. I'd actually go in the back and Sharpie it out nice and sharp, because the drawing isn't what goes to the shop. It's the blueprint that actually makes it to the shop. Okay? So what you should have when you're finished with your project is this. You should have a nice drawing it's 11 by 17. You should have a nice centered drawing of your room. You've got a title block which has the name of the project, your particular room, your name, the date, the scale, the class number, plate 1. I've got the drawing with the proper scale. I've labeled the key furniture in the room, my door, my window, and dimensioning of the room. That's your full project. So you should have a nice ground plan whenever you're finished. All right? I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, talk to me in class, and I'll help you get through this. All right? Hopefully when you're done with this, you'll also understand the different symbols, like the door symbol, the window symbol, symbols for furniture, how to label something that's above or hidden underneath. Probably the only thing I would change is I might actually make a leader and say this is a file cabinet underneath the desk with a little leader line. But these are all little adjustments you can make to your drawing. All right? Good luck, you all. I will see you in class.